Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Alisa Slodzinska, and I work for the City of Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, BACP. Welcome to the BACP Business Education Workshop Webinar Series. We have adapted our regular business education workshops at City Hall into these webinars until further notice. On behalf of our Commissioner, Rosa Escarino, I want to inform you that business licenses can be processed online where applicable by visiting chicagobusinessdirect.org. And any emails or websites that I mention will be posted in the chat box, so you'll be able to reference them there. And if you are part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, you can get credit for joining this webinar by sending an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. If you want to learn about the program, please visit chicago.gov/businesseducation. To help guide your business and employees during Chicago's reopening process, please visit chicago.gov/reopening. Also, BACP and the City of Chicago's Office of Emergency Management and Communications created Shy Biz Emergency Alerts. You can opt in to receive targeted emergency alerts for the business community. If you are interested, please visit chicago.gov/ShyBizAlerts. And once again, all emails and websites that were mentioned will be posted in the chat box, so you'll be able to reference them there. And we encourage attendees to ask questions. Please use the chat box and send your questions to all panelists. There will be a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. And today's webinar will be How to Save Your Business. It will be presented by Bruce Montgomery with Sunshine Enterprises. Welcome, Bruce.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. I look forward to this conversation and presentation. And as was mentioned by Elise, we have a lot of information to share with you today. And this webinar will be recorded, so you'll have a chance to go over it again. You don't have to worry about taking notes too much, but that's not a bad idea. And then I also will share a document. I believe I will have an opportunity to send some things out to all the people that are on the seminar today. So I have some additional information that I will send with more detail than I'm able to provide in the PowerPoint framework. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for participating in the Business Affairs and Consumer Protection Program. It is a wonderful program, and I think it's even more convenient this way because many of us who don't have opportunity sometimes to be downtown in the morning, we can still participate and take advantage of the many great speakers and programs that are provided by the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. So there's a lot that you can find out on the city website about their upcoming programs. Thank you for being here today. I'm going to close my video, but I'm still going to move ahead with our presentation. It looks kind of strange for me. The only place I see is mine, so I don't want to sit here talking to myself. I can't really see everybody's face, and that's a challenge in these kind of environments. So today, we're going to talk about keeping your business up and running, keeping your business going. When you face with all the challenges that we've seen in this year, this has been, of course, a time like no other. And it's created immense obstacles to moving a business forward. This is going to be a year from the record books, and we're nowhere close to being out of the woods or over with the challenges that we have. But if we're here on this call, we're here for a reason. It's because we have a life, we have the energy, we have the power, and we can succeed against the so-called odds. Some of the greatest businesses that we know and see and take advantage of every day came out of environments just like this. Maybe not just like this. Maybe they didn't have COVID or an economic pandemic, but many of the great businesses that are around today came through a great difficulty and challenging times. So count yourself one of those. And like I say, you did not come this far to stop. Be in it to win it. So we're going to move ahead with our program. And again, as was said, if you have some comments or questions, please enter them in the chat box. And then I'll share my contact information with you as well at the end of the program. And we'll have an opportunity for one-on-one or other conversations moving forward. So let's get going. So what are the hard facts of small business in terms of challenges? You know, the number one challenge really comes down to one thing, and that's money. The leading cause of business failure is insufficient cash flow. Now, I know that seems obvious, and you might say, Jesus, you know, who doesn't understand that? You know, if you don't have money, you're not going to be in business. But cash flow is a very important area to understand, not just from a bottom line point of view, but how do you set up your business so that you can really understand what your cash requirements are. And, you know, if that's not clear enough, again, let's run down just some of and look at, when you look at these numbers, I'm going to ask you to remember these numbers because they're going to come back again. So 79% of businesses fail because they start with too little money. You know, how can you not have a cash flow challenge when sometimes you just have enough scrape by to get going? 78% business fail because of lack of having a well-developed business plan. Again, a lot of this seems obvious, but come on, let's be honest with ourselves. Many start because of a lot of different reasons, and all the reasons didn't necessarily make a lot of sense, but that didn't stop us from starting and jumping out here in the deep end of the pool. 77% fail because we didn't price things properly. You know, if you don't have enough margin in your product or service, you soon find that's a challenge to get backed up against the wall. And then another big reason is being overly optimistic about what we can achieve from a customer acquisition and sales point of view. Just like, you know, I'm sure everybody that started out this year had a great intention of all the ways the business was going to get to the next level in 2020. Who was planning on a pandemic? You know, who was planning on shelter in place? You know, who was planning on businesses being, you know, closed? A lot of those businesses closed were other people's customers. So this really just, you know, things happen that, you know, and so it's not that people were being overly optimistic. They just thought if the basics went on, there would be some numbers. But of course, that all fell by the wayside. So you have to deal with it. 70% fail because they don't recognize or accept their particular weaknesses. And here's another key: do not seek help from others. You know, people go into entrepreneurship, they want to be their own boss, they want to march to their own drummer, but business is not just an individual sport. It's a team sport. You know, players play, teams win. And we're going to get into this in a lot of depth as we move through this program. You know, number two, there's some common causes for failures, and we've just gone over a few of them. But the point is, how do we avoid them? And what do the winners know that allow them to get beyond these not insurmountable obstacles, but how do they incorporate some thinking in order to, keep things going when seas are churning like they're churning right now? Well, first of all, you know, a lot of times when we go into business, we're thinking, you know, the world is our oyster. You know, we've got an unlimited opportunity to connect with the people we're trying to, the customers, the clients, the suppliers that we think are going to do business with us. You know, nothing could be further from the truth. When you're launching a business or even up and running in a business, you have to really understand your target market. Not the whole market, you know, not the United States, not the south side of Chicago, not all of Chicago, but who specifically? is your target market. Who knows you and who needs to know you, and who are you zeroing in on? And in that target market, even within a well-defined target market, do you know who your ideal customer is? Now, again, we're going to get into this in a lot more depth because, there's some key words here. Target market, ideal customer. You got a lot of customers, but that doesn't mean all of them are the right customers to grow and scale the business and get beyond some of the challenges that we're seeing right now. The winners have a clearly defined pricing, and they create a value-driven strategy. Value is in the eye of the beholder. You could offer up a product at a certain price, and people say, well, it's too much or it's too, I can find it somewhere else. But where there is a real value strategy, what the customer is actually connecting with is what's in it for them. How is this making them a better experience? How is this making them a better business? They're able to do something with what you're offering that is of clear value to them, and they understand that value, and they're willing to pay for that value. So you're not just pricing, coming up with a number out of thin air. You've done some homework. The winners know how to effectively plan for access to capital, for financing their business, both for today and tomorrow. And again, you probably hear this all the time. It's all about relationships. But look, in this whole, pandemic and circumstance, we've seen the ridiculous activity that went down when the government was supposedly coming up with the bailout program, and the first guys in line were all the big businesses, and they pushed all the small businesses to the side. But some folks that had systems, and the reason the big banks did some of this, it was just too easy for them to push a button, pull a lot of data together, submit the report to the SBA. We as small businesses have to know how to do the same thing. There's certain resources and implementation we have to have, and I work with financial institutions and lenders all the time because I work with small businesses and startups all the time. And in helping people get money, I have the relationship with the financial institution, so I know what they're looking for. So then I can set people up to take the steps into financing startup capital, operating capital, growth capital, asset capital. So effective winners understand how to set themselves up for capital. Maybe they start out with a microloan. Maybe they start out with certain kinds of things. But in moving along the financial path, they're setting themselves up to have options. There's a lot more options out here than people could even imagine when it comes to access to capital and everything else. Winners understand how to anticipate versus react to competition. Oh, yeah, there's competition. Yeah, you've got more competition than you may have previously thought about. But you can anticipate that. You can also anticipate what's going on in society. Look at what's happening right now. Technology has taken center stage in our. Without technology, we would not be having this workshop. Many small businesses undervalued the role of tech, but now everybody's scrambling for DoorDash, Uber Eats, how people can order online, how you can still engage your customer. Maybe you always thought social media was a joke, Facebook, Instagram. I don't care about that. That's for the kids. Guess what? That technology is making businesses right now. People are doing business and generating revenue from these platforms. Winners understand the value of technology and what's going on in the marketplace because it's all about trends. If I can play there's a saying we used to use in the financial markets: the trend is your friend. Don't try to outguess the trend or argue with the trend. Nobody's bigger than the marketplace. When the market is telling you something, listen and believe it. Never think that you can do everything on your own. The height of hubris or being overconfident is believing your own resume or believing your own story. Get some help, get some support, and get engaged in a network of infrastructure that can help you get to the next level. And you know what? Growing faster than you can manage is a recipe for failure as well. Before don't go off and generate a whole lot of hype and a whole lot of demand, and then you don't have the capacity to fill that demand. So don't grow faster than your inside game is able to handle. Let's keep going. But guess what? Business really comes down to a very simple thing. The right idea at the right time that is responsive to the target audiences, people respond to. Yes, there is nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. There's nothing more powerful than a vision that people get. We've seen, conversations go viral seemingly overnight. Why? Because it struck a nerve. It hit a response. There was an emotion that connected to it, and all of a sudden everybody got on it. If you look in this whole pandemic experience, there's been things that have been started since this pandemic is going on, and people have suddenly jumped on some of these activities. Look at, case in point, Zoom. Who knew about Zoom a year ago? If you did, you're not telling the truth because you never heard of Zoom. You may have, these platforms have been around. We're using WebEx today, but something about the way Zoom was easy to use and kind of out there a little bit just caught fire with people needed to. A lot of people didn't know about WebEx. They didn't know about GoToMeeting. They didn't know about some of these other services that are out there because most of those were in the corporate sector. Zoom was out there with just regular people, and guess what? It's exploded, probably well beyond anything the founders could have ever imagined, because there was an idea, there was a vision. In fact, the guy that founded Zoom, he actually used to work for Cisco, the company that created WebEx, before he went out on his own to do Zoom. But he had a plan, and he had a made-up mind. And guess what? The world has responded, and now he's a billionaire. It's a multi-billion-dollar company, and hopefully they'll be able to handle all this. We don't know. So at the end of the day, it is all about you from a standpoint of how are you equipping yourself to have the right mindset to move ahead. In this time, a lot of us, maybe almost everybody, has had to just recheck their, give yourself a checkup from the neck up, having to recomplete that. Why did I take this road in the first place? When you go into business, you always have people on both sides. Why are you walking out of that safe and secure job? Do you know you're going to be able to pull this thing off? But your mindset is critical. You can do this, but you got to be realistic, and you can't push yourself over the edge. So you've got to have life in balance. And I'm saying your total life, not just the life that you physically see, but the life you don't see. So that means that you have to have your spiritual priorities in place. You have to have your mental priorities in place, and you have to take care of yourself physically as well. You can't run yourself in the ground and think that's a winning formula. It is all about mindfulness. It's all about balance. So you have to check your mindset. You have to check your feelings, and you do have to get focused on health. And you see so many people, another, success story out of this experience, is all of the things people are now doing to recognize that health matters and good health matters, and how to get good health to people in challenging experiences. So all kinds of opportunities are right here to be unearthed as a result of exactly this experience that we're having right now. But it does start with you. So what are the 10 things that you can do? Let's really get down to the nitty gritty here, because we don't have a lot of time to waste or goof around when we do these seminars. We want them to really be valuable. We want some takeaways that we can start working on right now. So I don't take this stuff lightly. I'm about getting it done so that people can, in fact, do business more successfully. And even with seemingly all odds stacked against you, you can make it happen, because life has to go on, and leadership has to show up, and you're the ones that will lead by example. I can tell you from the conversations I've had with small businesses, and I'm gonna show some success stories later on in this presentation of people that I know and have actually talked to and worked with. And if they can do it, you can do it. And they have done it, and I know that you can do it. So you have to adopt a winning mindset, and you've got to follow some specific steps to get that mindset. You know, we heard the term garbage in, garbage out. Okay, well, what about good stuff in, good stuff out? You have to have some, you know, I come from an experience where I was taught how to use affirmations and denials. So I deny what I don't want and move that out of my mind experience, and I affirm what I do want and make that solid in my mind and in my consciousness. You have to, you change your mindset in a specific way. First of all, you make a decision, but then you follow some steps. So you acknowledge that there's some challenges in this business. You know, I got to be real. You know, there's some things here that need fixing, and I don't have to be overwhelmed by it, but I do acknowledge it. I don't pretend like it's not there. I can't, you know, keep stepping over it or sweeping it under the rug. I acknowledge that these challenges are very real. But then I challenge it. And really what I'm talking about right now is an inside mental game. I'm talking about because the biggest obstacle to an entrepreneur's success is our own self-talk. You know, people talk themselves out of success. And I'm talking about not loud necessarily or verbal, but that quiet voice inside who says, man, you have lost your mind. Do you know what you talk? This doesn't make any sense at all. You better go back and get your resume out there, get on LinkedIn and try to get a job. This entrepreneur stuff, this ain't for you. You ain't cut out for it. Well, that's the problem. The problem is that negative inner voice, because too many times when people succumb to negative self-talk was right when they were at the borderline of crossing over into the promised land of success that they were looking for. So the first thing you have to do is acknowledge that self-talk is going on, but you have to say, okay, I'm going to take some steps to deal with this, and I'm going to turn it around. And so I challenge that. When my inner voice tells me something negative, like I can't do it, I have to challenge that. Say, wait a minute, I believe I can. And it's not just about what I can do. It's about the greater things that are available to me. You know, somewhere in the universe, there's an answer. And I'm going to find that answer. I'm going to, you know, the law of attraction. I'm going to find that way of getting around what's going on. So I think there's a way out. And where there is if I believe that, then I believe I will see that. So belief actually precedes the seeing. I've got to challenge. So this is where your inner faith and your inner will comes from. You got to challenge these things. And then at some point in time, you have to be quiet. And so you have to silence. Once you've nailed acknowledging and challenging your inner voice, then you take some quiet time. You know, a lot of people are out, you know, taking walks right now. A lot of people are meditating. A lot of people are, you know, getting into a different kind of lifestyle that they weren't in when they were all about the rat race and, you know, how many networking events could they go to and how, you know, how could they stay up all night on Facebook and all other kind of time wasters. That stuff is not doing you any good without a plan and a purpose. So, you know, once you challenge, acknowledge, challenge, then silence, now you're ready to fight back and replace negative dialogue with positive dialogue. So coming out of that experience that you've got a made up mind, you got to perform a SWOT analysis. Again, I'm sure everybody has heard about this before, but what is a SWOT analysis? Again, I don't have so much time I could go through all of these things, but I'm going to share, you know, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you do it from a business perspective. You're very honest about what's my strong suits. And, you know, I saw a great quote the other day. Many times coaches and folks will tell you that, you know, when you do a SWOT analysis, you really want to work on those weaknesses and those threats and try to minimize those. And that's true. But it's a whole lot it's a lot easier to play your strong suit. You know, any of us that played, you know, bid whist or bridge or, you know, cards or something, you know, when you're sitting there looking at a whole lot of great cards, you know what you're going to do. You're going to bid those great cards and you're going to play those great cards. Everybody on this call today has been dealt some great cards, meaning that you have some natural strengths. You have some natural strengths that you're good at. Optimize those. Use those. Run with those until the wheels run off. Really know what your strong suit is and play your strong suit. Some of us are spread too thin trying to do things that we're not really that strong on, and that's part of the problem, trying to be all things to all people and have too many cards on too many different chips. Focus on those strengths and really know those strengths and dramatize and even become stronger in those areas. But do that SWOT analysis. And again, in the information that I'll send out for everybody on the call today, I'll have some detailed information on how to do a SWOT analysis and some SWOT analysis tools, along with more detail on all the things that we're talking about here today. The next step is understand your target market and connect with your ideal client. Now, this is really when you get serious about who's showing me some love, who do I want to show me some love, and let me really understand this, because, again, a lot of success in business really isn't about you. It's about what are you doing for somebody else? How can you be of service? Many of the great businesses today that are making it through this challenging time have pivoted because they've seen the unmet needs in the community and the society, and they pivoted in order to meet those needs. And in doing that, they've really found who their customer is, who their target market is. A friend of mine who has been in business for more than 25 years as a fashion designer, she's done everything that she could possibly do in fashions and garments and designing and clothes and all the stuff that she does. But in this time, she saw what was coming, and she said, hey, I think, I can put some products together. And so she had not really gone after a lot of contract work, but she knew how to source the materials, how to do the production activity. She had the infrastructure for all of that. And so she pivoted to production of cloth mask and very attractive mask. And she even went and had some special designs made and really got a patent on one of the designs because of a unique way the mask operates. She ended up getting a contract with the city of Chicago to provide over 100,000 masks right in the middle of the pandemic activity, because understanding that she had a unique strength, she understood who her target market was, and she was able to find an ideal client, not just a nickel dime client, but a client because she was about size and scope, and she wanted to find a client that would be able to attract the right kind of revenue at a large scale to support the business goals that she had, and she did it right in the middle of a pandemic environment. So let's keep moving. Number 4, you got to set SMART objectives and create a new plan. So I'm going to assume that everybody has some type of ragtag business plan. But you know what? A lot of us get married to those plans, and we maybe put a plan together because we're in a workshop program and we had to develop a business plan. Maybe we're in a pitch competition. Maybe we're trying to get a line of credit or a loan or something, and one of the requirements was to do a plan. So we cobbled something together real quick, and then we put it back, in the file cabinet, or stopped looking at it and went about trying to make the business work, figuring, well, I know all of this stuff, I don't have to review it. Wrong answer. Plans are living, breathing things. You're constantly supposed to be tearing them apart and putting them back together and iterating, which means that, little tweaks or constant improvements. And, plans are broad. But here's the deal. When we're trying to save a business, and that's what we're talking about today, how to save a business, how to keep the doors open, we've got to have some very specific kinds of actionable steps. And those are called SMART goals. And again, I'm sure everybody has heard of these before. If you haven't, I'm going to mention them. SMART stands for specific, clear enough so that the real reason you write a business plan is for yourself, so that you can look at it on a sheet of paper and say, if it doesn't make sense to you, who else is it going to make sense to? If it doesn't get you up in the morning, why should it get anybody else up? If it doesn't tell you this is a clear path to success in making money. And so that's why you got to, you need some help in this process. But anyway, a SMART goal is specific, clear enough to fully understand. And there's not just one of these things. When we did that SWOT analysis, we want to come out of that SWOT analysis with specific actionable steps in each goal. So if I got 7 goals, all 7 goals need to be SMART. Measurable. How do I know when I've done it? Achievable. Is this really able to be done? Is there some evidence that me or anybody else has ever done it? If I say I want $1 million in revenue in the next 6 months, I've got to have what the measurements are for me to get to $1 million. And it's not just the revenue goals. What about profit? I may find that and we're going to get to this a little bit later, but if I have the right kinds of things, I can maximize my profit with actually having less revenue because I've set it up to have that way. So then I don't have to worry about needing, just like I mentioned my friend who did the 100,000 mask contract for the city of Chicago. That was from one customer. So instead of saying, hey, I'm going to get out here and I'm going to sell masks on eBay, she said, hey, I'm going to go and find a significant client, show that I can do the work. And so it's not the number of clients you have or the number of customers you have. It's what's smart about it. And then relevant. Is it connected to my overall game plan? Some things can take you way off track. I talk to a lot of people who want to do business with the government. Do business with the government. What government? City of Chicago, Cook County, State of Illinois. What agency? Police Department, Education Department, Chicago Transportation Association, Metro, CTA, RTA, federal government, Health Department. So, specific. The government is a big place. Just a lot of small businesses, minority businesses in particular, think that, well, if I get certified with the city, that's going to guarantee me some business. Wrong answer. You still have to have the relationships. You still have to have an overall game plan. You still have to know who is my ideal customer in the city of Chicago, in what kind of it's really setting me apart from anybody else. And then, of course, your SMART goal has to have a deadline, has to be time bound. So let's keep going. And again, if you're not scrambling to take notes, don't worry about it. I'm going to send this entire presentation out. I've also got a lot more written material that goes along with everything I'm talking about, and everybody on the call today will get this, and then I'll be around to talk about it as well. But again, remembering that one of the real challenges of why businesses fail because of cash flow problems and cash shortages, one of the things you have to do immediately is cut all of the fat, cut everything. And this is really, I have to tell you, I run into so many businesses, small businesses in particular. So many small businesses are used to operating on what I call thin air, that some of them are doing pretty darn well right now, So, like in the food service business, many of the restaurants were takeout restaurants in the first place. So it really bothered them that you couldn't sit down. They didn't have no place to sit in the place in the beginning. But still, you may still have to even reduce costs and prioritize what to pay even more, because again, what we're talking about today and the specific things we're talking about, even though these are principles of good business operation, we're trying to do specific things that can save a business and keep it going and keep the doors open. And we're going to keep that in mind. So again, managing cash flow is job number one. Really having the right systems in place instead of, some of us, how often are we getting, are we getting our invoices out? How long do we have to wait in order to be paid on certain contracts? And can we move from how we're paid for certain things into a different line of work that pays us more frequently? We've got to make a lot of decisions to optimize the cash flow versus the number of transactions, because you can sell yourself right out the back door if the cash flow doesn't work out. Meaning that if you've got to buy, let's say you're selling a a product that you get from a manufacturer or wholesaler. And let's say when you get that product, you've got to pay for that product in 30 days. So then you're selling it to your customers, but let's say your customers, because of conditions right now, don't pay you for 45 days or 60 days. Now you're in a bind because, you've got to pay your party. So you've got to look at things not just from what you can get to sell, but, what's the cash flow model that I have? So we're going to talk about this later on because a lot of us there's some ways that we could balance this out. But in the case of all of this, you got to have relationships and you got to talk to people. For whether it's your landlord, whether it's your suppliers, whether it's your employees, whether it's your subcontractors, whoever else you are working with out there, you can't pretend like, they're going to understand because don't they understand all of us are going through COVID, so I shouldn't have to tell them. No, that's not the point. Talk to everybody. Yeah, they probably are going through some challenges themselves, but still have a conversation and still try to come up with a win-win scenario to say, here's how I think this could work out for both of us. If you could give me some extension, here's how I think that extension is going to work. And what? Under promise and over deliver. Don't get negotiate an opportunity and then turn around and come back and say, hey, I got to negotiate again. Really try to think through before you start making commitments about what you can or can't do. And, a lot of this comes down to just basically organizing. We have to recognize that so we can't make our business, some of the joy of being in the business is doing what it is we do. But some of the non-joy is administrative or accounting or bookkeeping or credit management or cash flow planning. And while maybe that's not why we got into the business we got in, we have to recognize now that we're in it, that's a big part of what it takes to be successful. So I can't just, do what I love doing, 100% of the time. I got to back some of that down and get organized and take care of the administrative things. The difference between people that were able to get some of the grants that are out, and we're going to talk about this, but almost every week, some organization is talking about a grant opportunity. And, as long as I've been doing business coaching and counseling, and people would always come to me and tell me, well, Ms. Montgomery, what kind of grants are out there? I say, look, get that grant stuff out of your head. There are no grants out there for businesses. Well, guess what? There are grants out here for businesses, and people are getting them. That's why this is such a strange time. This is the best time for access to capital that many of us have ever seen for small and medium-sized businesses. This is the best time. And even there was a story at the beginning of this week where one of the biggest banks in the United States actually admitted that they had been not fair in their practices and that they needed to do something about it and that they were putting $1 billion fund in place. Now, I know when you hear these stories about somebody coming up with $100 million for a small business and $1 billion for minority businesses, you say, oh, yeah, they're just talking. You know what? Somebody's making a phone call that day and finding out how to apply for that money. And guess what? People are getting it. So you have to get organized. I talked to a friend of mine yesterday, was getting ready to get into a program, and if he got accepted in the program, the acceptance came with a $100,000 grant. So this is a time of opportunity. So you have to stop wasting time on things that are not helping you grow, repetitive tasks, things that could be outsourced. There's a guy, if you haven't read this book, this crazy book, it's called The 4-Hour Workweek by a guy called Tim Ferriss. And again, I'll share this, notes, but Tim Ferriss is all about what in my business can I outsource and maybe get and right now you can find so many services that you can go to other small businesses and contract for just a small amount of money. And if you can contract for some of these services that frees you up to do high value services that bring in larger revenue. Now you're not, playing small ball. You're in a situation where you can really take the business to the next level. Always have a focus on your clients. And some of the counseling that I've been doing with businesses during this time, first thing I asked them, I said, is your customer list out on your dining room table? Have you called everybody on your customer list and asked them how they're doing? How you feeling? Is everybody in your family okay? Are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help you? Do you need some information? Do you need some? It may not have anything to do with your primary product or service, but you are calling your clients to let them know that you care about them. You want to know how they're doing. Hey, I'm reaching out to you in this time. The people that are strong enough to connect and stand up and reach out and share and collaborate, that sends a message. And when I talk to my clients and they come back, they say, man, I called some people and they really appreciated hearing from me. And I was able to connect some people with resources that really helped them. And guess what? They told me that made so much a difference. They're never going to stop connecting with me and doing business with me because I showed some care and compassion. Yeah, we're all concerned about ourselves. Yeah, we're concerned about keeping a roof over our head and our families. Yeah, we don't want to, be out on the street, but always focus, you're in business to serve. You're in business to make a difference and to be there for your clients. And when your clients feel that, it's the feeling that gets the blessing. People think a lot of different things, but they go with their gut. They go with what they feel. And when they feel you care, that's all they need to understand is keep you around as one of the people they want to do business with. So let's just take a breath for a minute. Been a lot of talking. Sorry, I can't see everybody. That's just kind of where we are. But let's just take a breath here for a minute. But when we talk about this thing called a business plan, and how is this going to help save my business? Help who? We got to. It's another book a lot of people talk about these days. A guy named Simon Sinek, and it's called Start with Why. If you don't get the why right, a lot of other stuff is meaningless. So your business plan, really, you got to look at it from who, again, this is a conversation really with just, I imagine most of the people on this webinar today either are in business currently or are thinking of getting in business. Most people here are I would say a small percentage are employees. Most are probably, close to the ownership level of the company. But you gotta have that gut check. But you do have to actually have a clear plan with recognizing how it's going to help you stay around, win, and it answers the question of why you. Of all the people, a lot of we hear the numbers every day about the thousands of businesses are going to close and maybe not reopen. So then if I'm one of the ones that are going to stick around, why? What makes me special? And why now? And there's some answers. You know what? You can't have a question answered if you don't ask it. So the answer is available to you, but you got to ask the universe, and the universe knows what to say. And when you get it down, you got to start to add it all up and come up with a value proposition that's in your favor. One business can make a difference. And you got to know your value. And see, value is more than just what your product is. How is what you're doing, all of what you're doing, making a difference in the world right now? And I think clearly we're seeing that even the biggest companies on the planet didn't have all the answers and didn't have their act together. And had some people, I'll tell you one thing, the world of financial services is going to be forever changed. The big banks no longer are going to have all the clout in the world. They, some of the people that people thought were too big to fail, guess what? They failed us. And so we're looking at them square in the eye and say, guess what, buddy? when I move around some more, I'm not coming your way. The first thing I think about, a lot of us were focused on just convenience, but convenience didn't get the job done if they weren't there to support me when I needed them. So the same thing, we have to understand what is our value relationship, and are we doing people who value us as customers? We want to do business, and so now all of a sudden, communities are trying to figure out, how do I shop local? How do I shop? How do I shop with people in my neighborhood? If I don't support them, they won't be there when I need them. So maybe I could pull some of that business that I was going long way for and bring it back local. And now, there's a real focus on local livability, local thriveability. So one business can really make a difference in this. I know just a lot of wonderful stories out here right now. And I think you get attracted to the winners and the success stories when you decide that's the side of the line you want to be on. I want to be on the side of the line of folks that are making it, that are figuring out a way, that are pivoting, that are designing their business for what's going on right now. They're able to deliver in this environment a high value experience, and people love them and they're delighted with the experience. It warms their heart and soul to see what people are doing right now. I've got a friend of mine that has some of the oddest businesses and that you never would think would make it in this time are making it because of what they mean to people. Art galleries, other just different kinds of businesses, because they have such a soulful and spiritual and essential connection with their customers. So let's figure out, how do we get that and bake that into our businesses? Yes, I think, I stated my case. There's no going back. After COVID or whatever, the world will never be the same. So we might as well make a decision. Why not make it better? People, we just don't know. I'll tell you one thing, though, but again, I think some of the patterns that have been established, just like here, we're sitting here on this, webinar. Look how many millions of people now are comfortable using this platform that didn't know anything about it 6 months ago. So now that's to your favor. You can use that in your role of engaging your clients and say, guess what? We're going to have a webinar to show you how to better use our products and services. We're going to have a staff development activity. People working from home. Now you can have talent that you can access all around the world. And somebody can come in and be part of your team that may be 1,000 miles away. You're not limited to just the people around the corner, because everybody's able to now move and do some of these different things. So it's very exciting that the world will never be the same, and you're the ones that are going to change it. So it starts with designing this way out of this, no way out. Let's pull everything together. Let's get everything on the table. All of our old business plans, all of our documents, incorporation papers, bank statements, all of the data, all of our customer files. What systems do we have? Back taxes, files, invoices. Let's get everything out on the table and say, what do we got here? And let's start ordering it up and sorting things out. And then who's on our team? I don't care if you're a one-person business. You're not a one-person business. You need a right-hand man or a woman, somebody that you can count on. Maybe it's a family member. And one thing that I've learned, especially over the last couple of weeks, is where there are strong partnerships, a lot of times in the same household, husband and wife, a mother and daughter, father and son, where there's that essence, two or more gathered, things start to fall in place. But you also need, don't kid yourself. Right now, you need a personal and a business attorney. You need a bookkeeper and an accountant. But, you have to recognize that things I maybe thought were an expense is really a necessity. You can't go across the street without a business attorney, a bookkeeper, or an accountant. And the same goes for your insurance and real estate. I say, real estate, what's real estate got to do with it? A lot of people have been able to stick around in business because of their real estate strategy, and having a real estate strategy and maybe having some income come in from the real estate that allowed the business to be sustainable, so they weren't, just paying a rent to somebody. So the accumulation of a real estate asset could be central to having any assets to keep the business viable. And then marketing. How critical is marketing today? If nobody knows you're out here, how can they support and do business with you? If I go to Google, if I go on Facebook, if I can't find your business, if I don't know your hours of operation, how do I even know I can place an order with you? So, and again, I never tell people how much they should budget for certain areas, but budget something. You say, well, I don't have $1,000 a month to pay a lawyer. Don't pay $1,000 a month. Pay $50. A friend of mine called me, had a dire legal situation. There are legal clinics in Chicago, at Loyola University, at John Marshall Law School, at the University of Chicago, where law professors and lawyers and law students provide legal services for no charge, pro bono. Who knew? Who knew how to get these? The Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. They do free work helping people incorporate nonprofits and get board of directors set up. So don't say what's not out there. Don't say everything costs. You don't know if it costs or not. You haven't tried to look around and find some options. But I tell you what, make sure that you have somebody in these slots. You need these. So your dream team is both in-house and external team that you need to have on the field. Everybody got that? I hope so. Guess what? Your family matters too. Don't be so much of an entrepreneur that you get put out of your own house. Somebody need to hear that. I don't know who it was, but somebody need to hear that. Because this business has to be successful, but you got to be a human being, and your families do matter. You got to take some time for yourself and your family. So whatever to-do list you got, you better revise that to-do list to include your own health and welfare. Wear your mask, wash your hands, take your shoes off at the front door. Be healthy and be concerned about your own health and the health of your family, mentally, spiritually, and physically. The people that care about you, and you care about some people. So it's not, what this entire crazy 2020 is letting us know is you better take some time to smell some flowers because tomorrow isn't promised. So family matters too, and entrepreneurs need some care and keeping as well. Enough said. So this is the best opportunity that any of us will ever see to acquire resources, access capital, and assemble talent. There's talent looking for opportunity. There are a lot of capital doors out here, and we've got to push our policymakers and representatives to really understand, and I think they, are starting to get it, that without a vibrant, active small business community and key corridors, the mayor didn't come up with this Invest Southwest program because, the city don't have anything else to do. These corridors need to be thriving on the south and the west sides of Chicago. You can't have some areas of the city with resources and other areas with nothing. It just doesn't work. And so we've got to push to make sure that these resources are available to us. And guess what? The people are being responsive. The city has RFPs out right now to redevelop key corridors throughout the city. The Neighborhood Opportunity Fund program just opened up again. And yeah, these things are competitive, but guess what? Somebody's getting the money. You could be one of those somebodies. Don't talk yourself out of getting grant capital and low-cost, low-interest loan capital. We've got a treasurer in the city of Chicago that is very focused on this activity, Melissa Conyers-Urban. We've got a state treasurer that's very focused on this area, Michael Frerichs. And so this is a time like none other where they recognize if they don't put money in the hands of small businesses, this whole ship could sink. And I'm talking about the entire state of Illinois, the entire economy of the United States. So there's some resources that we can get our hands on, and we've got to make a plan to get them. So if you started with too little money, That's how you start it. Let's replan, let's redesign, let's rethink, and let's get some money in the door. There's some entrepreneurs that would never start a business without the right kind of capital. That's them. Maybe we started because we had a lot of bravado and a lot of chutzpah and a lot of good intentions, but let's get some damn money so we can have the business operate the way it needs to operate. So let's talk about, I just want to give an example of some of the success stories and folks that I know that are out here and overcoming some of the very odds that we're talking about. These two women you see on the screen right here are mother and daughter. They started a business several years ago, Kilwin's Ice Cream. The first one actually, I come to find out, was in Orland Park, and it was unsuccessful, and it had to close. And when it closed, the mom said, as much as she wanted that, and she was a former school teacher, and she heard about this franchise. She thought it was very exciting franchise. She thought she could do it. She put her money together, put really her entire life savings into the business, and then the business failed. It didn't work out in that particular location. But she said, failure is not an option, and that's where I came up with this title for this workshop. Succeeding against the odds when failure is not an option. And I learned this from her, and she said, I wasn't going to let closing the business be the end of my story. And so she said, I'm going to bring this back one way or another. And by, again, what I'm talking about, when you start thinking some things and you don't let go of it until it blesses you, you keep wrestling with it. She was put in a conversation with a very large institution, the University of Chicago, and they wanted to have some businesses start to repopulate the Hyde Park area. And she told them, look, I got a great idea. I think it's a great business. I think it'll add a lot of value, but I don't have any money. So somebody's going to have to come to the table and help me do some things. And she negotiated. She asked. She planned. She got a team together. They put some plans on paper. Guess what? After closing down and not having anything, this business is back up and running in Hyde Park. It's right next to the Harper Theater, for those of you that know anything about the South Side of Chicago. And after the success of that business over several years, she's gone on to have a second location. One is in downtown Chicago. And tragically enough, the downtown location suffered, even though it is a Black-owned business, suffered some casualties with when people were downtown and a lot of things were happening. She's got a lot of damage in her downtown location, and it was very tragic. But, hey, her attitude is, it's not over until we win. And so the downtown store is back up and running. The Hyde Park store is doing well, and she's got some plans to kind of move on from here. So I want to make this real and not make you think that the conversation we're having about how you keep going is theoretical. It is not. These ideas and these concepts are intensely practical. Let's give another example of somebody who turned a business around and saved their business. There's another business called Batter and Berries, husband and wife team. Husband's longtime background in insurance. Wife is a medical professional, had not previously had any business experience, but for some reason felt that they wanted to have a very nice breakfast experience place, and they ended up opening up this facility on the north side of Chicago. It's in the Lincoln Park community, and it's interesting because I asked them when I talked to them, I said, well, how'd you end up of all places in Lincoln Park? And that's another story. But after having a very, very successful business, and people really enjoyed it. They make wonderful French toast and pancakes and all that kind of stuff. Beautiful place. It's always a line out the door. It just really success and customer experience and great rave reviews. You know, it looked like the lights were about to go out. And I talked to them, and they told me, they said, hey, we just did not come this far. And so they applied for every loan, every dollar, $550, whatever it was. They say, hey, we've got to keep, for our 25 employees and for what we've done for our family and our 4 kids, we did not come this far to stop. And by that level of tenacity, that level of planning, that level of having their financials together, being able to look at them several different ways and have a story of success, you know, they're still standing tall today. And guess what? They're expanding. They're opening up 2 new locations, one which is carry-out only, using, again, in the face of all of this DoorDash and Uber Eats and all this kind of stuff, they came up with a model where they could leverage that. And in this time of people wanting to have stuff delivered, you know, everybody loved this restaurant, but, you know, the restaurant, you know, couldn't operate. And using the system that I've described here today. I'll give you one more, and then we'll move on to close this thing out. Sorry for the picture here. I couldn't find a better picture of them, but this is a company, SCR Transportation, and they do medical transportation. And you probably see these little vans run around. They pick up folks and get them to their doctor's appointments. And the husband and wife team that did this, they actually met. The wife was working in a hospital, and the husband was a government administrator, and they kind of met there, and they became aware of this need of people, you know, getting transportation to their doctor appointments and medical appointments. And there was actually an ambulance company that was going out of business, and the husband and the bank asked the husband if he would consider coming in and reviving this business. And you know, they had gone bankrupt, and they had some old ambulances, and the bank said, hey, look, if you would come in and kind of figure out how to make this thing work, we'll provide you with some capital and kind of help you get going. And that's kind of how the business started. And but along the way, it really wasn't going anywhere. And so the husband became aware of a company on the West Coast that was in this line of business, and he one day got up and told his wife, I'm going to California. I'm going to see how these guys are doing it. His wife looked at him, my. And he said, something's telling me to go out here and meet this guy and talk to him and see what's going on. And when he got out there, he met this guy, and he got a new vision. And he saw how big this medical transportation thing really is. And he said, as soon as that vision was clear, he called his wife. He said, I got it. He came back home. He sat down. He told his wife, and he said, when his wife and he agreed and got that new vision for what this business could be, ever since then, they haven't looked back. They're one of the largest employers on the south side of Chicago. I think they're up to about 1,000 or so employees. You see these vans everywhere. They've been a wildly profitable business. They have also received some significant contracts from Metro and some of those places too. And they did just have a very, very, very successful business. But it all came down to getting the vision of how significant the business really, and he couldn't see it here in Chicago talking to the people he was talking to. He had to go somewhere and see it in operation. So, you know, when it becomes clear to you and that vision becomes something that you can really latch on to, and I'm telling you right now, this is a time of new vision and opportunity in so many industries. Get that vision, and where there is a vision, the people prosper. Okay, so let's wrap this thing up, and then we'll take a time for Q&A, and I appreciate you guys sticking around for as long as you have, listening to me do all this talking. It's crazy. So, again, we talked about, you know, delivery, design, delivery, and delight. And so, you know, whatever your product and service is, and this is really something really critical, is if you're a product-based business, you really need to think about what a service strategy could add to your portfolio. And if you're a service-based business, you need to think about what your products could be. But the key is whatever you balance you have between products and services, and that's for another workshop. The point is the total customer experience. Customers remember how they feel. And what you always want to ask yourself as a company on the way from being good to great is, what do I want my customers to feel? How do I want them to feel at the end of the experience of doing business with me? The companies that have that level of great customer service and customer experience, those are the ones that pull through whatever needs to be pulled through and make it to the next level. So here's something that you can easily remember, the 80-20 rule. Some people call it, the actual name of it is the Pareto principle, but it's the 80-20 rule, meaning that 20% of your products actually generate 80% of your revenue. Same thing with your services. Same thing with your customers. You know, if you looked at your customers and you put them on a graph, you could probably find that your best customers account for most of your success. You just have to know who's who and focus on them. So one of the things in saving a business is get rid of the stuff that ain't happening. You know, I may have a big product line, but if that product line isn't turning over, it's wasting money, time, focus, everything else. People don't really know me for those things. What are the 20% of things that people really, you know, are the things that drive my revenue success? Same thing with services. Same thing with customers. Who are the 20%? Who are my ideal? Those 20% represent your ideal customer. And you really need to get to know them well, better than you even think you know them. You know, how is all this COVID stuff affecting them? Where are some areas in their business that's giving them the blues? And just because you have a good relationship, they may let you figure that out and add another capacity to what you're able to do for them. So look at a quick snapshot of how you cut and how you focus. 80-20 will help you do that real quick. Just the last two slides and we're out of here. You know, in the delight stage, you got to have a plan to get this all together. So let's take a look at this. So here we are. You know, what we're going to do in October is we're going to use this as a time to reframe, refocus, relaunch, and resume our activities. So if you know, let's just try to take this, you know, this Q4 of this year and make it out alive. That's the key for 2020. Can we just make it out alive as personally in our business and everything else? And then so in November, let's you know, really say let's focus, keep our costs at a minimum, try to get our revenues at a decent level, you know, and maybe we figure out some new products and new services that can help that 20% of our main customers continue to stick with us, give us a little bit of more business, give us some profitable business, but we're going to reduce our costs enough where we can just hang in the game and then make it out alive. December 2020, we're going to close strong. We're going to be breathing. We're going to be standing tall. We're going to have ourselves mentally, spiritually, physically in the best shape we've ever been in our lives. We're going to, guess what? Have our taxes ready. You know, too many people wait a year, 2, 3 years later to get their tax. No, we're going to close and get organized and have our taxes ready, our financials ready, and our forecasts ready. because we're not going to get caught flat-footed again, you know, like, so when all these things roll out and then we're scrambling to try to pull, no, I'm not going to be caught flat-footed again. I'm going to have taxes done, financials in place. I'm going to have a strong forecast and budget for the coming year. Then I'm going to breathe. I say, okay, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I made it out alive. I got past this 2020. See you, wouldn't want to be you. Okay, been there, done that, got the T-shirt. 2021, here we come. And I see I got a lot. That should have been January 2021. So I want to review my progress, but here's my chance to be this difference maker to change the world, and I intend to do that. So here's a little milestone chart, game plan for how to squeak through this remainder of Q4 2020 and make it into 2021 alive. And then a lot of this time, let's really, really listen, you know, and here, you know, customers are the key to everything. They can drop some jewels of wisdom on us, you know, that we haven't even seen. So let's get some different eyes on this thing. What can our customers tell us? What can our suppliers inform us? You know, customers, how are you making it through alive? What's the real difference making? Where's your priority at? You know, well, what have you cut? How have you been able to still hang in here? Same thing with who's ever supplying you your raw materials, your products, what you're selling, your service provider, your banker, financial, and have same conversation with all these folks. Have you seen some real glimpses of the future, of real innovation and success? Tell me how I could be one of those innovators and who you've seen innovate. Now let's go study them, put what they're doing into practice in my business. And guess what? When you ask those people those questions, they'll tell you. Now, once you've kind of, you know, maybe around the end of the year, the beginning of the year, it's really important for you to let folks know that you're still here. You're still standing. You're strong. You've got a good concept. You know, you're not going anywhere. So, you know, you get visible. Communications and relationships are what's going to save your business. Communication and relationships are going to save your business. And so you got to get social. You got to come out of whatever cocoon you've been in. You got to listen 3 times more, 4 times more than you talk. And then these companies here, Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you know, this is the new media. This is the new press. You can be your own press person. You know, you can get the word out about what you're doing. And you can find support. And all of these companies are coming up with great, great tools and programs. Right here with the city of Chicago, they've had a great partnership with Google. My great friend, Jinja, she's been doing some phenomenal workshops on getting your business online. Google is coming up with a whole series of free services that can help businesses get visible, get a presence. You know, if you don't have a website, you can still have a tremendous online presence using all of these platforms. And I've seen companies, there's a company I'd love to talk about that really has built a multi-million-dollar business primarily off of Instagram in the hair products area. So there's some ways that we can tell our own story. And don't worry about who's not telling your story. Tell your own story. You got stakeholders that care about you. You got to leverage those stakeholders and use it. In the last couple of slides, I think this may be my last slide, if not last slide. You know, a lot of folks want to see you win. I want to see you win. You know, there are a lot of assist agencies out here that their reason for being is to help small businesses keep their doors open. Small Business Development Centers in the state of Illinois, SBDCs, Small Business Development Centers. They're almost in every neighborhood. You've got the city of Chicago has business chambers, Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, Andersonville Chamber of Commerce, South Shore Chamber of Commerce, Chatham Business Association, Rodney Brown on the west side with New Covenant. They're just tremendous organizations and networks, and you got to lock arms with the other people that aren't going anywhere. There are a lot of businesses that aren't going anywhere but up. You got to be one of them. Get to know some of these folks. Put your pride in your back pocket. Sit down and be quiet and just listen and connect with some of these resources. Become a part of the business community. And you'll find that they will embrace and give you all the support you need. We all want to see you win. This city can't be great without you. You are the difference makers. You're the leaders. We need you. So that's it. You got it. You got now. This is your time. This is your city. You ain't going anywhere, neither am I. So we're going to make this place the kind of place it needs to be, especially if I tell you what, if I just only had the people on this call, the people on this Zoom, if everybody else left the planet and all I had was the people on this call, I could change everything in the world. We could sit down and everything that I'm talking about and everything you're currently doing, I would be the richest man in Babylon with just the people on this call. And that's all we ever need is each other. So if we could build a little network from here, like I always say, where 2, 3 or more are gathered, there all the power and resource and capacity that is needed will be in our midst for us to win. So that's my name and number. But again, I'm hoping to have the list of all the attendees that I could send a much more comprehensive set of materials to you. You see my name, and you can text me your information, or you can email me there. And so let's take some time for questions. I can't believe I've chatted this long, but let's take some questions.
Bruce, it's Elisa. Thank you so much for this presentation. Absolutely inspiring on a Friday morning. So on behalf of BACP and the attendees, I just want to thank you for taking the time with us this morning just to share your insights and, definitely get people excited again. So thank you. And we definitely have some questions come in. First question is, can you go over the differences between startup capital, asset capital, and growth capital, and how a bank would look at a business in each stage?
Okay. Well, that's an excellent question, and there's some little caveats that were mentioned in the way that a question was structured. First of all, you mentioned banks. Banks are only 1% of the connection you need for those capital types that you talked about. As soon as we broaden our horizons, we start to understand that we've got more options. But I understand what you mean by your question, whether it's a bank or whether it's a credit union, whether it's a CDFI or whatever kind of access to capital organization it is, they're still going to look at the different times that you need business. But I really love that question, but I really need you to hear that you've got many, many more options than banks. So let's talk about startup capital. So I think I maybe talked about a microloan. There are several organizations in the city of Chicago, neighborhood initiatives out on the south side and in the Pullman area, Axion on the near west side of Chicago. There are 2 or 3 more that are involved in micro lending, which is really early stage debt or loans for business. Let's say you don't have the greatest credit score. Let's say you've never had a business bank account. Let's say, friends and family aren't really there for you. So I need a small amount of money, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000. And some of the programs that I've been involved with, like at Sunshine Enterprises also, I have a program, the Entrepreneur Success Program. I have certain institutions that when people complete that program will offer you a certain amount of lending to meet your capacity. So based on your plan, based on what you need, you can get $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. So I would put in the early stage capital area. But again, what I want you to understand is that there are other ways that you could have access to capital. A great friend of mine who's in the T-shirt printing area, he does novelties and printing and advertising premiums. He found a manufacturer that would give him a line of credit. And so that way, if he went out and got a contract to do 1,000 T-shirts for an organization, that organization would print the shirts under his design, ship him the shirts, ship the shirts to the customer, wait till he received payment from the customer, and then pay them. So that was just as good as him getting $100,000, in operating capital, because that vendor was able to give him a line of credit. So the point is, when we do a business plan and we do a business model and we understand how you're going to generate revenue, there are many different ways that you could unlock how you get startup capital, operating capital, and I'm so glad you mentioned asset capital, and that's where that real estate strategy comes in. But then there are programs like the City of Chicago's Neighborhood Opportunity Fund, which allow you to get a grant capital for a physical asset, like acquiring a piece of property, fixing up a piece of property, investing in that property so that it could serve the needs of the business. So again, there are public and private sources of capital that can fit into some of the scenarios that you mentioned. And I'd love to talk with you about that offline or in some other ways and direct you to some of the resources that I mentioned, so that the good thing is to talk to sources of capital before you need them, so you can understand what their terms and conditions are, what they're looking for, what their debt to equity ratios are, what revenue kinds of models, credit scores, other kinds of things, and then match up with what they're looking for with the plan that you bring them. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. And a question did come in about what grants were offered during COVID. From the City of Chicago standpoint, we did have a couple grants and a loan offered. Those periods have closed, but I do want to mention that the Illinois Business Interruption Grant is accepting applications. I will post the link in the chat box. I don't believe there currently is a deadline, and we actually hosted a webinar on the program, and the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity also hosted a webinar on it, so I'll post all that information in the chat box. And another question for you, Bruce, is I'm having some concerns with selecting an attorney and accountant. Do you have any recommendations? Bruce, I'm sure you can't actually recommend certain people, but maybe give a little bit insight on what people should look for when recruiting this, A team structure.
Well, I really like that question, and because you certainly have to interview a number of people before, what's the saying? You got to kiss a few frogs before you get to a prince or something. But I would definitely suggest connecting with the law clinics. Like I said, Loyola University School of Law has a law clinic. The John Marshall Law School, UIC Law School, they have a law clinic. There is something called the Lawyers Committee they used to call it the Law Project, but it's called the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. And so these law clinics are good resources for low or no cost basic legal services like contracts, LLC incorporations, employee agreements, even services like IP services, like getting a trademark or a patent. There's some services in those areas. So I would really reach out to the law clinics at the law schools and, see what their conversation is. But then also, this is where the business associations and the chambers, they come in and really talking to other entrepreneurs. Who do you use for your contract work or your employee work or your, other legal things you want to do to protect yourself. So this is another reason to be involved on a call like you are here today, but also to get involved with a respective networking or business chamber in your respective area or community or industry. Another thing you want from an attorney is someone, each business has specifics about the requirements in that industry. So do they understand transportation? Do they understand media? Do they understand technology? So, I just don't need a lawyer. I need somebody that understands my field of endeavor and can add value and relationships and critical experience in those particular areas. So I would start with the law, the nonprofit law clinics at the law schools, and you find some really talented, wonderful people there, and they can also help you along with who you might find from networking with your people in your industry.
Great, thank you. Another question is, how does a business go about testing the market and get a clear idea of how to put a price on your service?
Again, another really great question. And, but there are a lot of little sneaky ways that you can do this. One thing that I found out is people use crowdfunding platforms to test business concepts and business products. Now, I don't know what you know about crowdfunding, but they have these platforms like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Well, many of those products that are on those platforms don't even exist. They're new concepts. They're new ideas. And people float, hey, if I could make this product with these features and these prices, would you all buy it? And believe it or not, people actually invest and pay money, and many companies have been started off of these Kickstarter campaigns and Indiegogo crowdfunding campaigns, where they were only trying to raise $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 and end up raising $100,000 or $500,000, and they say, hey, that's enough money for me to go on and do the business, and then actually ship the product to the people that say they wanted it. So that's those are good ways to test it. Another low-cost way to test the product is through landing pages, where you create a very inexpensive short website, and you have an A concept and a B concept. It's called A-B split testing. And so you go with headline one and say, would you like this? Now, again, you got to get people to see the website to make a choice and maybe say they want more information or they want to talk to somebody about it. But another good way to test these concepts is in social media as well, Facebook, Instagram in particular. Instagram is wonderful for this type of testing, just to put something out there, see if people respond, give them a number to text or a reply to text for more information. And if you get a whole lot of a demand for it, you're onto something.
Great, thank you. We have time for one more question, and for those who we weren't able to answer, Bruce did put his contact information in the chat box. For those joining us via phone, let me just read the number to you. It is 312-725-8601, and the email is bruce@sunshineenterprises.com. I will mention that this webinar is being recorded and will be made available on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Chicago BACP. So there was just one more question, then we can answer. 1 second. Here you go, Bruce. Who do we contact to get help with filling out applications for acquiring resources? I believe you kind of talked about this, but if you want to answer that.
I would look to business assist agencies. For example, Sunshine Enterprises is a City of Chicago business assist agency. Sunshine is primarily involved in small business education. We have a number of business workshops that are going on around the city right now. We're very, very well known for the production of A lot of the material I went over today is part of something called the Community Business Academy Day. And so you can find out more about that at sunshineenterprises.com. But there, you know, I would also, again, the people hosting this seminar, the Department of Business Affairs, the Business Affairs Department has a number of what they call delegate agencies, and they're almost in every neighborhood in the city of Chicago. I would look some of those folks up. And I would also look up these things called small business development centers. Places like the YWCA, they have a small business development center, and there are about a dozen or so of them around Chicago as well. Now, they're funded by the Small Business Administration and the state of Illinois. And so, like Alicia mentioned, there is a grant program, a business interruption grant, BIG grant, that's available from the Department of Commerce and Community Affairs right now. So again, I would strongly encourage any of you that have questions about either capital resources or planning resources or technical assistance. You can text me. I love to get text messages. It's very text messages. So that number there, you can text information. I also listed on the chat. I run a Facebook resource page called the Entrepreneur Success Program, Chicago ESP. That's Chicago ESP. But if you look up the Entrepreneur Success Program on Facebook, and you can see a lot of this information I talked about, I post on a regular basis so that small businesses can connect with these grant opportunities and technical assistance opportunities. And again, I'm very, very, very serious. If I only had the people that were on this call today, and if we established our own little networking community, I'm sure we could make a huge difference in business success in the city of Chicago, and I'd love to do nothing more. So please take me up on my offer. I will stick around and be of whatever help I can to you personally and individually. And again, I'd like us. I think there's, again, the only unfortunate thing about this webinar is I can't see anybody but myself. But if I could see you all, I'm sure.
Oh, Bruce, your mic cut out. Oh, there it is. It's back on.
Okay. So anyway, that's I know we got stuff to do. Let's get out here and make it a wonderful, great day. Thank you guys for sticking around. And love this wonderful experience. Thank the city of Chicago for giving us an opportunity to be here today.
Great. Thank you so much, Bruce. Thank you to our attendees for joining us today. We wish everyone a good rest of your Friday and a good weekend. Thank you, everyone.
All righty.
Bye.